How did you come across Samuel Lee?
It all started from YouTube.
Okay.
That's how I found him.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I didn't know about the BRRR strategy at all.
Oh, really? Even though you had all the skills?
In my mind, the way you can make money in property is either if you're like super wealthy in just buying houses, or...
Albert Liss is a BRRR to service accommodation and rent to service accommodation expert, a leader within the Samuel Leeds Academy and a project manager with a background in architectural interior design, turning properties into high-performing serviced accommodation assets. So rent to rent, service accommodation, that's your sort of bread and butter, your cash flow, but you're also more and more focused on BRRR.
BRRR is just a way of buying the house. I wouldn't say it's like business strategy. It's the way how can you buy the house with limited amount and how you can repeat it afterwards.
Money is not wealth. If you think that you're going to get rich by earning more money, that's not how it works.
As I said, the goal to do with what I want to do personally, what I want to do in terms of hobby or passion, where do I want to go. Setting up the goals, even if they're not going to be achieved, it just helps you move in the right direction.
Hello and welcome to the Self Unemployed Podcast, where we talk about the journey to financial freedom and becoming self-unemployed. Today, my guest is Albert Liss. Thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. Welcome, everyone.
So you are a property investor specializing in BRRR and refurb, that strategy.
That's correct,
yeah. So tell us a bit about yourself.
So day to day, I run rent to service accommodation company in West and Central London. But as you said, my passion, my specialization is really in refurbs, property design, architecture. So that's why buy, refurbish, refinance strategy is obvious to me and was natural choice. That's what I like to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Absolutely.
So, and you're not from the UK originally, is it Poland you're from?
Yes, I'm Polish. I came to UK when I was 18, just 18. So quite a long time ago. When I came to UK, I didn't know English. I had to learn everything. I stayed with Polish community where I realized that not many of them actually spoke any English. So that was one of the first barriers I had to come across when I came here.
So with such a strong Polish community in the UK, did you find it difficult to assimilate, or not? Or not to assimilate, but to grow in a way that
I think it goes both ways. It's sort of personal growth is one thing, but also assimilate and understand the culture, because the Polish community is quite strong in UK in general.
Yeah.
And if you want to, you probably don't have to assimilate that much because there are Polish shops, Polish speaking, the people in the bank, in the government. You're going to get around
you can get
without knowing
learning
English. But that's not the way you want to grow. And I always had the mindset of coming to the other country. It's like coming to your house. Essentially, I'm becoming the guest. If you're saying we're taking shoes off, well, I'm in your house, I'm taking the shoes off. So if I'm come to England, it's like, great, I can stay here, earn a bit of money. Possibly I don't need to learn English. But if I want to stay here and be a guest, then, well, I need to understand what people want from me, how I can assimilate with them. It's like understanding why there are bank holidays. It's like, why do we do it? So it's like just getting that basic knowledge and getting along in the society, I think was the very first step and the barrier that you have to cross. But it's because you've got a strong community around yourself, it's like, why do I leave this comfort zone? Why do I learn? It's like, well, if you want to grow, you have to that's what you have to do. Get
comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone always says.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I know exactly what you mean, because I am half Paraguayan and I lived in Paraguay for 7 years. And so I know what it's like to sort of live in another country. I didn't speak Spanish when I first went there, or maybe a little bit, but I was still very much learning. I got a job teaching English, so I could do that. But it is really hard when you're in a country and it's your second language. And I had friends that spoke English, American friends who worked at an American school nearby and things, and it just makes it really easy to take the easy option.
That is true.
Where you don't grow. So yeah, I have a huge amount of respect. I think people that only speak English, like British people who only speak English, they can never really appreciate how hard it is to operate in a second language. It requires so much more effort and attention, and it's exhausting. Would you agree with that? We'll get back to the interview in a moment. First, do you ever feel like the system is designed to keep you broke while the rich get richer? Well, we're here to help you flip the script. Our podcast, a newsletter, breaks down the 4 phases of wealth. Ditch bad debts, make your money work for you, take smart risks, and systemize for true freedom. If you want tips and exclusive content to build your wealth, click the link in the description to join our newsletter and take your first step to becoming self-unemployed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, now after time, I wouldn't say it's as exhausting. However, there are times where it's a bit noisy. It requires a bit more concentration from me to get fully engaged in the conversation in English than it would in Polish.
Yeah.
Whatever happened in Polish in background, my brain is going to pick up and I will understand.
Yeah.
Where it's something happening in English, although I may understand, that I understand the words you're saying, but the message is not hitting my brain properly if it's in background and I'm not concentrate on that.
If you're in a conversation with like 3 people and there's 2 people talking to each other, it's much more difficult to understand what they're saying than it is when you're talking to someone and all their body language is directed to you and they're sort of checking to make sure that to check your body language, that you're understanding.
I couldn't agree more.
So much of communication is more than what we say. It's our body language and facial expressions and
that does require much more brain power to be fully engaged in it. And after sort of events or places where there is a bit noise, a bit more people, and you're trying to network or you're trying to meet new people, that becomes much more exhausting than it would be in my first language.
Yeah.
But that's the exhaustion with every single event like that. Then
it's exhausting even in your first language.
But that's where basically we grow. Once we get exhausted, next time we get exhausted much further down the line. So those little pushes actually makes us grow.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest challenge here is, especially when you're going to the country where you've got community, is what you're saying, just being lazy and comfortable and not, maybe not lazy, but like just comfortable. It's like, why would I do this effort? And, going through that, just actually, well, you have to if you want to assimilate. So that was a very big thing for me.
Yeah.
And it still is, although I still belong to the Polish community. We still, every Saturday, I go with my daughter to Polish school. So she got an extra day of education where she learns about our culture, where it comes from, about, community, which we've got here, because that will stay with her. But nevertheless, we in the country here, which we have to assimilate here. Yeah. We're part of England now, although we've got our heritage, and it's good to remember that, but that's where we are, that's where we live, and that's where we need to find our way around that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, I'm half Paraguayan. But in a way, I consider myself fully British, but I'm also half Paraguayan, if that makes sense. Doesn't mathematically, but it does kind of spiritually, culturally.
Absolutely.
I'm very proud of that. But even my dad, who was born in Paraguay, he's very British too. His dad was from Scotland, so he wasn't. He was born with a British passport, it's possible to have 2 cultures at the same time. But like you said, I think it's important to, especially make the effort to fit in and assimilate and embrace and respect the culture that you're in, of the country you choose to live in. And when I went to Paraguay, I often hang out with some American friends, and we go to pubs and things, and they're talking loudly in English, and sometimes I was a little embarrassed, because okay, we can talk in English because that's our first language, but we should kind of try to, keep it to ourselves and not make a scene of it. But people over there are very welcoming to foreigners. But I still felt like we needed to be respectful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's one of those things. If they even within the Champions Academy, there's quite a lot of Polish people, and we're quite often speaking Polish. But as soon we see someone being around that could hear us, we instantly switch to English just to make sure everyone is included, because
Yeah.
that's about the
That's
community
interesting,
here.
because I don't think I've ever heard anyone speak in Polish.
It's actually quite cool, quite a
And
lot
there's a lot of
Polish people.
Romanians as well. I've never heard
Yeah,
them
Bulgarian, yeah.
talking in Romanian. And I think I must have had conversations with people who, a few Romanians and me, and, we're always talking in English. So when you came to England, did you come with the goal of growing yourself, and what was your English level when you came?
Well, I thought it's quite good because I had good grades at school, but then I've realized that I don't understand the English we've been taught in school. Maybe fine if you're watching like a BBC only, where everyone is trying to articulate properly, but then as soon as you go out from the house and you see, it's like, well, no one does that.
Yeah.
And it's quite hard. So
There's a lot of variety as well.
it is, yes, and accents, and even people who don't speak very well English, you need to sort of understand them, and it's quite difficult. So I've got one of the memories that I remember, that I was looking when I was doing the shopping. One of the first day I came in, because also it took about a week just to get around how English really sounds. So the words I've been taught in school, they sound slightly differently on everyday use. So it's just having enough contact with the language, how it sounds with the right sounds.
Yeah.
So it make you understand it, but that takes 5 days, week, just to be around it. So I remember one of the first days, I was like glad the shops had self-checkouts, so I can just sort out myself. So that was the level of English that I had.
Yeah, actually, I remember just going to a checkout when I didn't have any Spanish, and even that's quite intimidating.
It is,
because you're dreading that they're going to say something or ask you a question, and you're not going to know what they.
And that for me was like, I moved to London, which the public transport, the tube, everything is not like overwhelmed me. I mean, in fact, a little bit did, because it was so different from what I know. And it's like getting all those things at once, and then a little bit of, not a little bit, but English barrier, the language barrier, and then the culture being different. And, one of the things which I still talk to my friends is like, in London, everyone crosses the road when they please, when suits them. No one really respects green or red light for pedestrians. It's like, you just cross the road, you cross the road. There's no questions about it. Where in Paris, no. Even if it's middle of the night, no cars going, people will go to the cross lights, wait till it's green, and then cross.
Really?
So it's just to keeping order things. So it's like little cultural shifts, which, it doesn't seem like much, but you've got loads of them at once. That becomes overwhelming. Not because it's something more than you are capable of taking in. It's just because you take everything in at once. So that also could be. I mean, it was a factor for me when we came here. Definitely.
So I'd love to get into, how that's made you grow, and how you've sort of how you benefit from that, and as a person, and now that you're in business, has that helped you? Obviously, you're doing business in England, you speak English, but I mean more on a higher level.
Well, I think I understand what you want to ask. It opened my head quite a lot in terms of, well, I need to learn English. Well, I need to learn why they do things this way. I need to learn how the bank works.
Yeah.
And then moving to business, like, well, I need to understand basic about the taxes so I can move that to accounting. I need to understand, well, do I need any licensing? Do I need any permissions for the things? It just left my head open the door rather than having that problems. It's like, okay, what we can do about it.
Do you think that having a different perspective helps you to see opportunity as well?
I think it helps spot it in the way it doesn't. I don't take things for granted. So whether it's opportunity, it's like opportunity can be in anything. It's the question whether you want to explore it, whether you want to ask the more question and see, well, is it really opportunity or it just seems like one? So in this case, it didn't help me spot opportunities, but opened me to explore them and see if we can do something with them.
Yeah.
So
because I'm a firm believer that we are all, through through the education system and through media and the government and just the culture, we're very conditioned in it to have certain thoughts and to think in a certain way. And as I've worked to kind of open my mind and try and think a little bit differently, which I think is in my nature as well. I'm starting to realize how wrong a lot of that conditioning is. And so, I was just wondering, is do you have the same kind of conditioning in Poland, or is it slightly different? And does that difference?
Not any different. It's exactly the same.
Mm.
Obviously I know the Polish education system better. Now I'm learning how the English one works, having daughter in school here. But it's not any different. If anything, I would say the program in Poland is much more firmer.
In Poland?
That's what I would say. Especially the schools that I went to, there is much less sort of room for children to explore things. So if anything, I would say that programming is a bit more stronger. Also with the TV and news, it's one of the things is we don't have television at home for last 10, 15 years. So I'm not participating in that very much. But then again, whether it's the Polish television or BBC, I would say they're the same. They have made slightly different agendas depending on what government is doing at the moment, but they both founded from government, therefore they will follow less or more the government agenda. So it's going to be very, very similar.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree with you. It's the schools, the media condition us quite a lot. How much that affected me, it's probably not something to brag about, but I wasn't very good at school. It's not that I had a problem with education.
Yeah.
I had a problem getting to school. So I always found something else that I was doing. I didn't attend, even though I was supposed to. I found ways to do different things. And at this time, I didn't quite finish the school as I should. I actually left it. That's why I came to UK. Okay. And when I started working in UK, I started working in the project manager in residential building sites. I realized that actually building and architecture is something that I want to follow. I found how big of an impact the way we live have on our lives, and that's something I want to explore. Then I decided that I want to get more education in it, and I went to get a diploma in architectural interior design. But to do it, I actually had to finish the school. So I went back to Poland. I finished that using the online method and sending the letters and attending the exams in Poland. I've got that finished with quite good grades because then I had a purpose to finish it. When I was younger, it's like, well, I'm not sure I'm going to be doing. Do I need the school? I thought I have more interesting things to do. So at the time, I didn't have a reason or strong enough goal to go there. But once I found it, I didn't have any problems with finishing the school because I knew why I'm doing it.
Yeah, you knew, you had the why, the reason why.
Exactly.
Yeah. And now, so when you said that you didn't do very well at school, I sort of smiled because that's such a common theme among entrepreneurs. And I just wonder whether it's sort of I'm not sure which one comes first. Like, is it that thinking a certain way that is, I think, a better way to think makes you not so good at school? Like, you need to know why you're doing something. You need to know what it's leading to. You need to see the bigger picture. Whereas, so you're not so willing to just fall in line? Or is it that not being good at school forces you to sort of have a wider view? I think the former, the previous. I think that thinking a different way makes you less likely to be good at school. Not that you're not less intelligent.
I think it can be both. Really depends on the person. For me, definitely it was seeing a reason.
Yes.
What's the point in doing any of this? Why do we?
Yeah.
And I think the question, why do you do it, should be applied to everything you do in life. But
also where you want to go, being aware of where you want to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever thought about or if ever been into kind of manifesting or anything like that.
Not much in the manifesting,
Mm,
but I mean, it's quite hard to sort of divide those things. Not
yeah.
in a manifesting as in having pictures on the fridge, having pictures there, but having clear vision. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I think it's essential because if you
Yeah.
don't know where you're gonna go, you're not gonna get there.
Yes. And it is powerful, but whether it's where the source of that power is a big question. And there's books like The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, where and another one is Think and Grow Rich, I think it's called, where they literally talk about your brain waves sending out energy into the universe on certain wavelengths, and therefore the universe sends it back to you. I don't believe that. I just think that, like you said, knowing where you want to go helps you to get there, because it makes, even if you're not consciously thinking about it, the fact that you've kind of visualized it, manifested it, just comes into every decision you make and makes you head in that direction.
Absolutely.
Even on a subconscious level. So,
and I think we're on the same page here, because manifesting to the, as you said, to the level is like you need to send waves around it. It's like, well, you can think about this way, but essentially you know where you want to go. You make choices that lead to it.
Yeah.
Therefore, you attract more people.
Yeah.
And also, I will be one thing that I've realized is actually doing through the property. When I was looking for one of my projects, is as soon as I narrow down what I'm looking for, it was matters of a day when I found it.
Yeah.
So it's the same for me, at least, with whatever you do in life, whatever business you want to do, whatever relation you want to do, you need to answer yourself, is like, what do I want? And once you've got the answer, then it's much easier to go and find out what you want. If you say, and that ties up a little bit with the books that you've mentioned, if you say, oh, I want to be happy, I want to be rich, it's like, great, but what does it mean to you?
Yeah.
Is because being rich means different to everyone. This one phrase that if you, I think it's what the Jimmy Carr said it, when if you got more than you spent, then you're rich.
Yeah.
And essentially that is true, but then how much you spend, where your level of riches, it varies for everyone. So just saying, oh, I want to have a super car, it doesn't mean much. If you're going to be much more specific and you're going to be able to explain it to others, and most important, you will explain it to yourself what you're looking for, then you can call it you're sending brainwaves to attract it. No, you just know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
That's my
view. You're just focused.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think focus is key, and that kind of thing creates focus, even if it's unconscious focus. Yeah. So have you ever done anything to kind of proactively define your goals to kind of help with that in a way, or?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
So not only set up myself what I want to do, what I want to achieve, but also set, as I said, the goal to do with what I want to do personally, what I want to do in terms of hobby or passion, where do I want to go. I quite often take extra courses that are not related to exactly to the property or to what I do every day, but it's just because I want to learn and expand in sort of hobby way. So setting up the goals, even if they're not going to be achieved, then it just helps you move in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I think the moment where you need to realize, sit down and just narrow down what you want is for me would be primary goal setting. And from there you can set up, okay, if I want to have that with my life, what does it mean in terms of how much time do I need to have? How much money I need to have for it? Fine, if I need to have that much money every month, how I can get it? Is the job gonna get me? Probably not. If I'm gonna have a business, okay. And that decided pretty much on your business goal to achieve certain level of income so you can go and do what you want.
Sort of reverse engineer what needs to happen to get where you want to be.
I'm big fan and advocate of the reverse engineer.
Yeah.
First thing, and that's something I learned and applied it for across the whole life. What I learned doing my diploma is one of the first things you're doing, designing any space or whatever. You're forgetting about what's possible. You're forgetting about the time, and you forget about your money. What would be absolutely ideal solution here? What will compromise the best looking space, most functional space, and does it tick all the boxes? You always start with that concept of, you may find yourself you designing things that's completely unrealistic. At this stage, it's absolutely fine. Just clarify what would be the best solution.
Yeah.
And then you put it against, okay, fine. Could that happen? If it can, great. If not, what changes we do to stick to the original plan, but make it realistic?
Yeah.
And then we take it to another level. It's like, well, we can't afford this. How we do it, so we as close to the vision and on a budget. And you see where you cut spendings without affecting the goal. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the same in business. It's like, what would be the ideal situation? And then, okay, can we make that happen? If yes, great. If no, what would have to happen, or what can be as close to our vision of a business that is realistic? Or who do we need to partner with to make that happen? But you always start with a idea, a vision that would be ideal situation, and then you check it with the reality, check it with the budget, check it with the time. But you never start designing with limitations, because then the outcome will be limited. So whether it's a space or business or your life, the vision and the idea, the design should be without any limitations defined, to explore the best possible option, the best possible outcome.
Yeah. But sometimes if you are aware of limitations that you're going to face, that can spur on a higher level of creativity to work around it, but not without the vision of what you're.
Yeah, exactly. But I think even the vision will be conditioned by who are, because also I look at the design and it's like repeating and remixing anything that you've been through life and experienced. So if you design, in this case, for example, interior, it's going to be a mixture of different interiors that you've seen. It will be a mixture of different paintings and movies that you've seen. And all that is actually just put together in your vision. So, and the same, it will be conditioned by, well, what's your money situation? Yeah. So it would be very hard for designer who, let's say, earns £30,000 a year to design 10 million mansion. He will be able to do it, but he will have...
What, just to design it or to build it?
Well, even to design and just to imagine...
Because they can't have the vision.
And they have different lifestyle than to the person that's going to use it. I mean, maybe 30,000 is like not enough, but a big gap. But you know what I mean. We condition by what we know, what we experience, what our expectation of very rich people is, how they may look, and that really affects what's happening later. So everything we do in life conditions what we have later.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think there's a big difference between, a poverty mindset of what a rich person is and what a rich person actually is. And I think there's probably a lot of rich people walking around there that we don't realize they're rich. And a lot of people that might look rich are not as rich as we think. Because I think a lot of people think, having a nice car or a nice house, that means you're rich. Well, no, because depends. Are you in debt because of your car? How much debt are you in because of your house? And can you afford that debt? If you can afford it, then fine, that's different. But you can have two people that earn £100,000 or let's say £1 million. Two people earn £1 million a year, and one of them goes and spends $500,000 on a Ferrari, and the other one buys a Ford Fiesta. Well, which one's richer now? The one who bought the Ford, the cheap car. Yeah. Because that car is a liability. So it's. I've really changed my mindset. I don't see flashy cars as signs of wealth. I see them as signs of a poverty mindset in a way. But then, okay,
I see them just as a flashy cars. It's like
there's nothing wrong with it. And if you are rich and you can afford it and it's fine, then I guess in that sense it kind of is. But it's not necessarily a sign of wealth. It could be just a sign that you've overspent.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why I like that quote. It's like the rich person is that got more than needs.
Yeah.
And that's already being rich. Because it goes to even more extreme. It's like, I remember people who, from like countryside, they don't need much money and they still gonna feel their life is rich.
Yeah.
You know, probably, you know, far up north in little country sites, average London salary would be fine. Where in London doesn't mean you've got any good life. So it's depending how much you're spending, how much you need, what's your desired lifestyle, what you're doing during the day. Do you need much? Do you want to travel and spend a lot? Or you love pottery and all you need is a bit of clay? They both awesome, just
Yeah.
depending what you like.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So if somebody wants to spend lots of money on fashion and have a nice car and a nice house, then they will feel poor because they're much further away from that
Absolutely.
lifestyle. Whereas someone who just wants to go for nice walks in the countryside and live in a little cottage with a dog,
It really
be more
depends,
content,
you know,
yeah.
that sets where your spendings are. That will determine where do you need to earn to feel rich. But still, most likely the person who wants to follow the fashion, they will have so much money that everywhere else they will be considered rich.
Yeah.
But with, as you mentioned, with the debts, flashy cars, expensive designer clothes, so on, they may actually struggle at the end of the month to keep everything intact. So it really comes, being rich for me comes with the mindset.
Yeah.
Rather than actual bank balance. Obviously that's important in
The
the way
bank
we
balance
live.
comes from the mindset.
And yeah, no, exactly. So you not only may feel rich, but it also will be easier to grow your bank balance in that rich mindset of the mindset of abundance of opportunities and money around us.
Yeah. I've got one friend who will probably be watching this, so apologies. But he's been obsessed with, and one of his goals that sort of drives him is to own a Bentley. He's obsessed with Bentleys. And when I first met him 2 years ago, he didn't even drive. He didn't have a car. And he's recently he's been doing quite well recently, and he's just got himself his first car. And it's not a Bentley, but and I kept saying to him, look, you've got this idealized version of what it means. You know, you're not thinking about the cost of running it and servicing it and how careful you've got to be, how stressful it is to own a car, and the more expensive and nice it is, especially if you've stretched to buy it, then it's going to be so stressful owning it, not wanting to get a little dink on it or anything like that, and keeping it clean and all that sort of thing. And I think he's starting to see that just through owning a cheap car, how it's not just the cost of buying it, it's not just the ticket price, it's, you know, all the maintenance, the petrol, and the stress of owning things like that. So yeah, I think those things are only really nice to have if you can have them easily, if your wealth far exceeds the cost of owning it.
You're gonna enjoy them differently.
Yeah.
It's, you know, if you're gonna go, let's say you're gonna go travel, but you've got just enough to go back, stay there and come back. It's different if you can go to the same place, but you know you can afford restaurants, you know you can afford everything around.
Yeah.
You enjoy that much more. So it's the same, it's like buying the expensive car which you said here. It's awesome to have it. It's, you know, it's always nice to have nice things. That's the bottom line of it. But if you have to worry about everything, if you're gonna drive you know, Bentley, but you're only gonna put 10 pounds of petrol in it, you're not gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, or if you just can't afford to run it, yeah.
You know, obviously I gave very, very extreme example, but if you can't, if you're thinking constantly about how can I afford it, rather it's like, when can it just book the service, and you just got different approach to it, you enjoy it differently, you just use it as your own and like you worked for it, rather than you've bought something and just become a stress for you. There wouldn't be a joy even to having the most dreamed car.
I think the key takeaway is to remember that those things are liabilities. They are not assets. And a wealthy person, the wealthy mindset, wants more to acquire assets that generate revenue, that increase in value, and any liabilities that they buy are just for fun. But and the extent to which they are a liability is covered by the income generated or the wealth generated from
Absolutely.
the assets.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
And that's a really key thing. It's understanding the difference between money and wealth. You know, money is not wealth. I mean, it's a form of wealth, but it's certainly not a good form of wealth if you're relying on, if you think that you're going to get rich by earning more money. That's not how it works.
No. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
There's just no... Especially...
and what I mean by that is, better things are, buying stocks and shares, houses. I own 6 houses, but I don't feel like cash flow is always an issue at the moment, at least. And so I don't feel super rich, even though I am building my wealth. But I know that's the way to do it. And I know that 10, 20 years from now, things are going to be good. But, I've never had a high salary. I certainly don't have a high salary now, being a self-employed property investor. I don't actually pay myself a salary at all. In fact, my companies owe me money, and that's the only money. Them paying it back is currently my only income. And I probably won't actually have a salary until all that debt is paid back, which may never happen. If I keep reinvesting the money that the company's cash flow. So yeah, the key is to buy and acquire assets. And but have you heard of Gary Stevenson? Yeah, and he's like, oh, poor people, all rich people are just buying all the assets. It's like, well, they're rich because they bought the assets. It's not that you have to be rich to buy the assets. I mean,
exactly.
Something that is a form of an asset would be a unit in an index fund. That's an asset, right? You can buy that for £1.
Yeah.
If you can buy a cup of coffee in the morning on your way to work, you can open up an ISA and start putting £20 a month into that. And then you are building assets, right? You don't need to be rich to start building assets, but you just need to change your mind.
That's actually how my investing started.
Me too.
I used to have a weekly salaries, and I just put 10% straight into A stocks. I didn't had much experience with them. It's still not like a huge pot of money because I used it with the properties. There's a literally little bit left in there. But that's how my mindset starts changing into buying assets. So even though it could be sometimes 30, sometimes £60 a week, but I was buying sometimes very random shares, sometimes just shares of the companies. Like I'm just going to buy some Amazon because that can just sit. And more switch my mindset is like, with every money that comes in, certain portion has to go back to be reinvested or saved. Or
Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad, he calls that paying yourself first. And I think that's the real key. And
that's where it started.
And it doesn't, people will say, oh, it's all right, you can't, I don't earn enough. It's like, well, it doesn't have to be a lot. The important thing is building the habit, even if it's just £5 a month. It's good, and you can automate it. And I think it's really good to automate that sort of thing. And this is what I call, here at the Self Unemployed Podcast, we have this sort of 4 phases of wealth. The first one would be to sort of get out of bad debt if you're in if you've got a lot of credit card bills and stuff like that. But phase 2 is about building these habits and understanding things like ISAs and pensions, which is never going to make you super rich, but it is going to get you started on building wealth.
Yes.
And I think it's really key. And I think I kind of really enjoyed that. It's a bit harder when you're not on a regular income, but if you are earning a salary or you get paid every week or every month, I think building some sort of a habit like that is super important.
Also, Colin, to be honest with you, when I start putting a little bit into the stocks, it didn't affect me at all.
Yeah.
As in, it took a portion of my income, which would at first was like, it's going to change things. I want you to look much more how much we spending, but the reality is it didn't affect me and my wife at all. As in, we knew that's going to happen. We just put money aside, so we may have 1 or 2 less takeaways in that month. But But in the grander scheme of things, we didn't even notice that.
But that's why it's really important to pay yourself first.
Exactly.
That's the key. Because if you think, oh, I'll invest whatever's left over at the end of the month, there won't be anything left over.
No, because you're going to spend it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as I said, that may sound like we invest a lot, but even if you spend 20, 30 pounds, most of people wouldn't, it's not going to change anything in your life. As in anything.
Yeah.
But it already starts compounding, it's already there. So even if you're not going to make money on stocks, you will just save the money and you will see the bank balance or sort of your deposit balance grow just because you put a little bit every week or every month. So even just getting, as you're saying, a habit of saving, of paying yourself first, without even expecting that money to grow a lot, that's a huge change of the way you operate with your money. As I mentioned to you before, for most of my life, I've been either self-employed or trying my own business.
Yeah.
And that's not something I understand from very beginning. That's why a couple of my businesses completely failed, because I was chasing the wrong thing. But now, I think that mind shift is very, very important to get paid yourself first. Just put aside, even just as a saving, a little bit from every money that comes into your account.
Yeah.
Just put a little bit
So you
aside.
just said something interesting. You said you've either been self-employed or running your own business.
Yes.
So a lot of people might think that that's the same thing.
No.
So what is the difference between being self-employed and running a business?
The self-employed, I would say is the situation where I would say you're still employed by different companies, and you have to pay your taxes yourself. So instead of going to one place, you might have different people giving you little jobs to do, or even like a little bit like freelance. That's pretty much the same as self-employed for me. But you're still serving other companies, you're still serving other people. So you're not creating a business where because the business is almost like the machine that can be just operated.
Yes.
Where you are self-employed or freelance doing anything like that, you are the machine. As in, you are the one who makes the job. Where the business is where you try and create a systems, a procedures, a team of people, whatever that is, to actually make the money where you just operate it.
Yes. No, and I've thought about this a lot, and that is what this podcast is all about. It's about understanding these differences. And I would say that being self-employed is you're still selling your time, as if you have if you have a job, you're selling your time. If you're self-employed, you're selling your time, just not to an employer, but to direct to clients.
But I would say it's way better than being employed.
It is, yeah.
But still being employed.
Yeah, but being a business owner is building something that you can step back from. That's the thing that makes the money, not you just selling your time. And you should be looking to always be able to step back. And Tony Crook, who I interviewed a few episodes ago, he said you should fire yourself every year. But what he meant was you should always be doing something new, something in an area where the company is growing or your business is growing into, and then you get that up and running to the point where you can step back from it. It doesn't need you anymore, and then you focus on the next thing.
There's a very good approach to it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So you came to this country. You were working. You did some work self-employed, mostly in construction.
Yes, I mean I've been working with. I mentioned one of my jobs was trainee project manager, where then to develop into being project manager. That was in quite a small, high-end residential refurbishment company. The company operated mainly around West London, from central to West London. It's pretty much where my estates now are. It's because during that job I've learned how the area works. I knew all the streets, and even by doing the refurbishments, I've been in, I'm not going to exceed in 100 of houses in this area. So I just know the area quite well. And there's, big thank you to Ron and Simon who employed me. They've been two business owners, and I'm super grateful to both of them, because they even took the time during the meetings just to explain me what I said wrong in English, just to make sure that I understand it. We employed quite a lot of Polish people, which some of them didn't speak any English.
Yeah.
So I've been in situations where one of the directors of the company had to explain to the joiner how the sash windows are made, because we don't have them in Poland. Although the
Right.
joiner know everything about the wood and machinery,
got the
he just
skills,
needs
just
he
not-
got the skills. He just needs to understand what needs to be produced. So I was like right in the middle of that conversation where I didn't have much knowledge myself. So I had to translate in a way that both sides understand. So I didn't have any choice. I've learned it all just because I had to repeat it that in both languages. So all that knowledge
Yeah.
stayed in my head.
So you've got those skills, but you're no longer employed. Tell us more about what you're doing now and how that's different in mindset to being an employee or even self-employed.
So I've worked there. Then when I started moving to my own business, it's actually quite a lot of changes. First one is about the time management. Although even there in that role, that wasn't really working hours. The things just had to be done. So I was employed as a self-employed there, where I didn't have working hours. I just had the things done, but still in a position that was directed someone that oversees what I'm doing. So that was the first very good lesson of time management and actually just having things done rather than be at work. And that was very beginning for me and the foundations that let me actually do my own business, because
you had to take more responsibility.
You take more
You don't just turn up, do what you're told. You've got to actually
figure it out what you're going to do.
what needs to be done and get it done. Yeah.
No, exactly. So that was the first lesson I had, and I didn't realize it at the time how powerful and how much impact that's going to be having in my life. Because now I'll be honest with you, I will find it very, very difficult to go and work, let's say, a normal job where there's procedures to be followed. And I mean, I absolutely understand and agree with them, but with having that mindset and just trying to look for different solutions, I know I would be questioning way too much to just fit into the big company.
Yeah, I mean, well, as entrepreneurs, we're often talking about building systems. And, the systems are there to sort of organize people and, but it's a very different feeling and a very different mindset to be someone who's being organized by a system
Exactly.
and someone who is creating the systems.
So, that was the first point when I realized how I need to manage my time and actually putting the system in place, even if it's, the system may sound like it's something big, but it's like getting in the habit. If you get the receipt, maybe with the pen, just mark what it was for, take the picture, then send it off, then the invoice or receipt got somewhere. And that already can be a system that you just subconsciously follow just to get things done. So those little things you try to implement everywhere in your life, once you sort of realize how powerful those things can be. And that's an automation on our mind level.
Yeah, and like going back to what Tony was saying about firing yourself, if that's your goal, that will influence the kind of systems that you implement.
Or you have to have before you're gonna go to another job.
Yeah, but if you're thinking that you just you want to, if you're in your head you're going to keep working on this thing, then the systems you create are not going to be the ones that enable you to step back.
So that's something we always do with my wife. We think it's like, let's make the things in a way from very beginning that they will be easy for us to explain to others how they should be done. So we quite often follow the rules that we made ourselves like we are our own employees, because then we know how to explain it to someone else. So, for example, when we first started doing service accommodation, we've done first few cleans ourselves.
Yeah.
But from very first time, we knew that's not what we want to do. So from first time, we had the notebook with us, and when we've done the bedroom needs linen changed. The pillows has to be organized that way. Check if there is a dust on the shelf. Put flowers straight. Move everything. Move the.
Fill up the air freshener.
Yeah, no, exactly. So you put everything like that on the list.
Yeah.
Even though those things don't have to be done every time. But next time we came in, we went through the list. We checked all of them. So even just by checking those things, you're making sure they're done. It's like air freshener, it doesn't need to be topped up every time, but it's good to check it every time you're in the room anyway.
Yeah.
So whatever we do, we try to make that list. We still got, my wife is selling the vintage and antique decor for the houses. We slightly left that little business because we're now full-time in property, but that was one of the businesses we had. So even if we created listing or advert for a item, we had that systemized. So it's hard to have a title which tick those boxes. In descriptions, we have to have that. We had pretty much templates for it. So we would be ready to just get someone who does it, but because that's not something we want to concentrate and spend time on, we just let it go almost. Just because we never sort of get it to the stage that is through substantial business. So we thought, you know what, we're not going to put more time in it because we're going to get much better.
It's interesting how businesses like that, selling things online on eBay or Amazon and things like that, the number of transferable skills that there are in terms of like putting information out there.
Absolutely.
It's very interesting. But
one of the other example is when I had a moment when I moved from England, I moved back to Poland to open a company with my friend where we are organizing all sorts of events. So our job was to make sure we've got the right people to do the right job. So from the people who put the decorations around, to people who put the chairs around, to the caterers who bring the food, to the printing house to make all the posters, leaflets, signs during the event, to the hostesses that actually greeted people, made the name tags and guided them the right way. And that was the job I had after working as a builder's project manager. And I realized very quickly, it doesn't matter what kind of project you run, your tradespeople just change.
Yeah.
So instead of having bricklayer, we have chefs. Instead of having electrician, we had a person who made the decoration.
Yeah.
Instead of laborers, we had hostesses who greet people. So it's not, you still do the project very much same way. Your suppliers or your tradespeople or skilled people that needed to achieve certain project changed. But general rule of budgeting, of keeping the timeline, it's transferable across all the industries, at least in my opinion here.
No, that's interesting. Yeah. So tell us more about what you're doing now. Then you've mentioned service accommodation.
Yes, that is our sort of my let's call it day-to-day income, the main cash flow purpose. So I've managed the service accommodation unit in Central and West London.
So are they rent to rents or do you own them?
No, that is the rent to rent model that we implemented. And again, it came from I know area very well. I didn't choose the area that I live in. I choose the area that I believed in a way that I've checked what is in the area that gonna bring the people all year round. So not traveling people, but is there enough businesses that actually require stays? Are there any music or entertainment venues that can bring people in? Are there any hospitals? Are there any big universities or colleges that actually require accommodation all year round? So when I choose the area, I started with what are the reasons to go there? Are there demand? Can there be demand all year round? That's why I didn't want to go any seaside, any really touristy place, which probably would bring much higher profit in the high season.
I think a lot of people when they hear about doing an Airbnb property, and even when it gets described in kind of legal things, it gets described holiday lets.
Yeah.
But that's such a you want to avoid holiday lets when you're doing serviced accommodation.
Absolutely.
Because that holiday is very seasonal.
I look at it from perspective, it's like we're providing fully serviced accommodation for people who need to stay there.
Yeah.
So it's not, although we've got a little bit of tourists, but that's not our main customers. We mainly provide the houses for the people who wants to have home-like experience while they're away from their home.
Yeah.
So it's like making sure the property is fully equipped. So it's not just an empty shell that you can stay for a couple of days. It's actually, you've got ironing board, iron, all the kitchen is fully equipped with literally everything that you may need. If you want to cook dinners every day, fine. Everything is there.
Yeah.
You know,
There's a lot of contractors and things or doctors, nurses, vets, all sorts of things that they might, because that come to an area for a period of time, but not long, and they're on a fixed contract, and then they're going to go home, so they're not moving to the area, but they might be there for a few months or.
With the one we've got, the rent-to-rent business, we've mainly got working professionals staying with us. I found the average stay is probably about 14 to 16 days. And the people who come in, they either hire in organizations, so sales representatives, area managers, who just want to have a comfort piece, and if they want to watch TV after work, they can. If they want to cook a meal, they can. They just got much more freedom.
That sort of stay, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's too long to stay in a hotel.
It is.
Hotels are nice for a night or two, but sometimes you just want to be able to make your own food.
Absolutely, that's what we do. So we not we don't have that many parties because I never allow one night stays. We rarely go anywhere lower than 3 nights anyway. And if somebody wants to do one night and just have a party, they're not gonna pay for 3 nights. And also this way we also attract the people who actually travel for work and they just need accommodation. Therefore, we never had like very bad experience with guests.
Yeah.
A couple of wine glasses broken. That's it.
Nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So rent to rent, service accommodation, that's your sort of bread and butter, your cash flow.
It is, yeah.
But you're also more focused on BRR, you said at the beginning.
Definitely.
So BRR, what is BRR?
BRRR, it's short for a strategy buy, refurbish, refinance. And that's a strategy that's it's more of a wealth building strategy, because actually it's just a way of buying the house. It's I wouldn't say it's like business strategy. It's the way of owning the asset. How can you buy the house with limited amount and how you can repeat it afterwards?
Yeah.
So the whole idea behind the strategy is to buy the property at the right price, then refurbish it, keeping your budget and timeline. And
so when you say the right price, what do you mean by that?
That the price that it has to do 2 things. It has to have a room so you can make something to the property to add value to it. And second reason is it just has to be enough so you can make profit on it.
Yeah.
It's almost like doing anything. It's like running the shop. You buying cheaper, add your markup, selling a bit more, and that's how it's done. It's the same here. So you're buying the house cheaper, but in my case, it's not only about negotiating price right down, but it's finding the properties that got the problems that no one else want to do, and I've got the knowledge how to fix it.
Yeah.
And that's
so it's not like you're just trying to buy cheap. You're trying to be valuable. You're trying to add your value to that property.
yes.
In a way that other people don't want to.
In this case, I found that you helped everyone, and I mean everyone.
Yeah.
So you help the person who sell it,
Because you're buying it.
and you fixing it. Quite often those properties got the problems that the owner either is overwhelmed to fix, don't know how to fix, or can't afford to fix. So you're helping him because unfixed problems in the property, they're just gonna grow.
Yeah.
And they're gonna cause bigger problems very, very soon. So you're actually saving him from much bigger expenses, or selling the property even more cheap than you're willing to pay for it. You're helping the neighbors because you're removing the nasty property in between.
You're improving that house, so you're improving the whole street.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you're helping the society is quite big, but the next person is going to rent it off you, because you bring in the people who are actually interested in nice properties to the area. Or you obviously pay tax on this, so you help everyone around, and you help yourself because you made money on it.
Yeah.
So I think looking for the properties that got problems or issues that I know how to fix, it just added value to everyone around. So it's not only the selfish way of, oh, I'm going to squeeze this landlord or this vendor, I'm going to buy this property, trying to scare him and buy this property with cheeky low offers. It's actually finding the property's got the problems that I know how to fix. So that's the right price. What you ask is actually the price that justify fixing the problems.
Yeah.
It's not only the price of fixing the problem, but also me willing to do it, taking my time that I took into learn how to fix them and build the connections with the people that actually can fix those problems. So that price has to be, it has to be fairly low to make that all happen. But then again, without me paying that price, it's most likely no one else will buy the property. So it may seem like it's low, but it's just justified by the condition of the property.
Yeah.
So I think it's actually paying the fair price for the right property. So I wouldn't say it's only about buying the property at the right price, but actually finding the right property suitable for the strategy.
Yeah.
Then
So you buy it at a
fair price for what it is.
Yeah. Then you refurb it.
Refurb
And
it,
that's your speciality.
and that's yes, exactly. So that's why that was natural choice to me, because that's where I spent nearly half of my life.
Yeah.
So
And so far, a lot of people are going to be thinking, yeah, this is very normal. We see TV shows about people doing this all the time. But you don't sell it once you've done the refurb.
that's the thing. You don't sell it.
Why
Because,
not? Why not? Because that's what a lot of people would think. That's when you make the money, right? When you sell it.
yes. I mean, that's where you would make cash. That's where you would
Yeah.
make profit.
But this goes into what I was saying earlier about the difference between money and wealth.
Exactly. That is the strategy of, because then it was something that all people call just flipping the property.
Yeah.
You refurb it, make it nice, put it back on the market, get sold, make a chunk of money and repeat. And that's actually the way of making your living, making cash, making you income. But this strategy is about getting the property, owning it and building the wealth. So in this strategy, wealth comes first and income can follow. The income can follow from what you're going to do with the property. You may rent the property to run as a service accommodation. You may transform property into HMO, or where it's going to go to social housing provider, or whether you're going to rent it on standard AST contract to normal tenants. That's where the cash flow comes. But that's what you're going to do with your asset later. So the BRRR on its own is just a way how to get the property that later can operate as a business or can be rented. And the best thing is when you refinance it. So you not only bought it, refurb it, at this point you can rent it out and it's fine because you start making flash flow. But all the power of the strategy comes when you refinance it and either going to pull most of the money, if not all the money invested, and you can just repeat the process and get another property.
Yeah. So and now if someone like you who's got the experience, you'll know exactly what properties to look for. You're going to do a lot of the work yourself to bring those refurb costs down. It is entirely possible to pull out all the money you spent on the purchase and the refurb, and sometimes more. It's not always as easy as that. And if you do that, then your return on investment...
It's not easy at all, but that's why it's worth doing.
Yeah. But if you're able to do that, then your return on investment is infinite. Because you have nothing... You've taken back out more than what you've put in. You've got nothing left in there. So your return is infinite. But even if you are leaving some money in there and you don't refinance and get all your money back, your return on investment can still be
very, very,
very, very good. Much better than what most people would get on the stock market or certainly interest on,
and also
savings.
If you leave the money, it's like you invested the money in the property. That's still a good thing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's still very good.
Yeah. And that's only talking about one of the income streams, which is the cash flow from the rent or...
Exactly. I mean, with the strategy itself, I said that many times, is when you finished, you're getting paid in bricks and mortar rather than in paper.
Yes.
So
which is a much better way to build wealth.
So, my bank balance after doing project is probably going to be slightly lower, but my wealth is going to be much higher.
Yeah.
So it's...
You've got an asset that's making you money.
Exactly. So you're getting paid in a thing that's not like easy bill to spend. It's, you don't feel it, but actually your net worth or what you own went massively up.
Yes. And even though cash flow, you might only get 100, £200 a month from a residential house after you've paid your mortgage, management, maintenance, other taxes that you might have to pay, things like selective licensing and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's washing its own face, and it's paying for itself. And in the meantime, when you look 20 years from now, that house is going to be worth 2 or 3 times
exactly
more than what you paid for it.
So that's what I said. Is the BRR strategies just the way of buying or owning or acquiring the property?
Yeah.
The cash flow, you may leave it empty because it still will grow as a capital appreciation. I mean, obviously you need to maintain it and so on, but in theory, that's still gonna grow very slowly.
Yeah.
And the cash flow only comes what you're gonna do with it. Whether you're gonna run it as a hotel, whether you're gonna just rent it to the family, or I don't know, operate as a warehouse, whatever you're gonna do with it, that's what can bring you a cash flow. But the BRR strategy on its own is just the way of buying the property.
Yeah,
it's not going to bring.
It's a way of building wealth without actually making money.
Yes. Yeah. No.
And
exactly.
This is why people need to get into their mindset that making money doesn't necessarily make you wealthy. There's a difference between money and wealth.
Yeah.
And BRR is more of a focus on building the wealth without necessarily making the money. I mean, obviously you need to make a certain amount, but that's small really compared to the wealth you get in the longer term view.
And that's how I've got divided. The rent to service accommodation is our way of getting income, where BRR is my way of investing into the future, into my pension, into what's going to happen down the line.
Generational wealth, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So that's two different things.
Yeah.
For me, it's like BRR. It's what's going to happen later. I don't want to pull any money out of it to spend now. It's something that's just going to accumulate and for later.
Yeah.
Definitely. So that's what I do in a property. With the BRRs, it's almost like a passion because that's where I found most enjoyment. My wife calls it's more of your hobby. It's like, well, we take it much more seriously, but that's where I've got a lot of joy just seeing how the property can be improved, and that's always gonna have impact on the end value. But that's actually something that I'm really excited about, how we can change the property, how we can make it more useful, how we can make it fit more into modern lifestyle. And that's what really brings me joy.
Yes, that's how you're bringing value. You're bringing value to the marketplace by improving the properties, improving the homes that people live in.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So we met through Samuel Leeds, as I've met many of my guests. And Samuel Leeds talks about a lot of these strategies. And I remember when I went to one of his crash courses, I already had some properties, was renting them out the old way, the normal way. And it really opened my mind I was sort of aware of this BRR strategy, and I was kind of doing that, but other things like service accommodation, and it just really blew my mind, and other forms of financing, the way you can get investors and things like that. How did you come across Samuel Leeds?
It all started from YouTube.
Okay.
That's how I found him.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, when I was approaching my first project, I didn't know about the BRR strategy at all. I thought,
really? Even though you had all the skills.
Yes. And even though
you've been in the industry for a long time,
even though you've
the mathematics of it, the mindset of building wealth rather than making money, hadn't occurred to you.
All I know, even though I was working investors, I've made HMOs. Titles, completely different properties. But in my mind, the way you can make money in property is either if you're like super wealthy and just buying houses and you live off rent, which is definitely not the case, or by just flipping the properties, refurb it and sell. And that was my intention. So I thought, okay, before I buy the house, because they low and how do you buy and transfer properties completely different in Poland than it's here. It's like two different, completely different. So I thought, well, I need to learn how you do it, what do I need, and that's how I found Samuel. It's just looking into property informations. I've done small course before it, and it's nothing compared to Samuel teaches, and that's how I found it online. That's where I found actually BRRR is a thing. I also find out how to do the service accommodation. So going through his training, massively changed the way I look into the business and make my living now possible because I've learned all those strategies. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was through. So I found him, long answer short, on YouTube.
Right. Yeah. And it's amazing because we think, well, I think we tend to devalue what we know and assume that everyone else knows it. But I often get jolted when I speak to an estate agent or an architect who's been in the industry for a long time and they've never heard of a lease option, or they're like, service accommodation sounds like a lot of work to me. And I'm just like, the lack of education, even among people in the industry, and how this is just the difference in mindset.
Although I wouldn't call it the same industry going exactly, is because that's people working around property, but with completely different goals, with completely different.
Well, it's with an employee mindset.
Mindset, and also being stuck a little bit in your own bubble. If you talk to architects, most likely they're gonna talk to clients and they're gonna used to talking about how do you do loft conversions and how it's important to get lighting. If they start in what they do, they start slightly in the bubble. It's like for me, it's slightly different, but it's like because I spend most time on the building sites, the knowledge that I've got about refurbing the properties, quite often I took as a common knowledge. It's just because everyone around me knew how to do it, being around industry, and I just took it's like, well, everyone knows that.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you start moving away from those people, it's like no one other than trades actually fully understand that.
And then you start to value yourself more.
Exactly.
Or realize your value.
But the point I want to make is it's like the designers or architect, they will know how to make the space great, how to bring the light in, how to make it useful. Tradesmen will know how to actually make that vision true. But actually the investor or someone from outside this world, from the business mindset, will know why he needs the designer to make the design for the tradesman to make the building certain way. So I wouldn't say it's the same industry. They just use the property as the common vehicle for everything. But then approach to it could be completely different.
Yeah.
So even though I was in the trade, I had no clue about BRRR because I didn't know anything about financing.
Yeah.
I didn't know much about loans, about mortgages. And that person would probably straight away was like, well, that's obvious.
In that acronym, BRR, and in some ways there's another R, we just skip it when we say it.
Yeah.
Each one of those is a different skill set.
Is.
Buying it's a certain skill set. Refurbing it certainly is a certain skill set. Renting it out is a skill set. And refinancing is a certain skill set. And you go to an estate agent, you go to a builder, you go to a lettings agent, you go to a mortgage broker. I don't expect myself to kind of be able to do all of those things. I go to an expert for each one of them.
And that's why I said the project manager skills transfer to different industries.
Yeah.
So although my background is in refurbishing, managing project of refurbing the houses. But if you look on the whole strategy of BRRR, it's just another project. Instead of what I mentioned before, instead of bricklayer, you've got estate agent. Instead of electrician, you've got a building company that's going to do the refurb.
But I think that's key. That's key to building wealth. Is not trying to think that your wealth comes from your skills. It comes from your ability to to connect with other people and use other people's skills. And work with other people and build your power team. Yeah.
And that's another thing about what Samuel created is because he allows us to connect and have a chat about that, but also connected even me through the people that got the knowledge. Now being in the academy over a year and a half now, I'm pretty sure I will have a person that knows an answer to any of the property related question in my phone. Because I've met so many people that are doing different things with the properties, whether it's a commercial properties or social housing strategy, or just service accommodation, or sourcing properties for others.
Yeah.
You know, there are even people who source just standard residential houses for first-time buyers.
But even little things like housing with machine. I've met people, and I've been, because I'm on the academy, I've encountered these issues. Just a quick phone call, and I know what I'm doing. Which before I was on the academy, I was doing completely in the dark. These things would have worried me and stressed me.
But okay, that goes even further, because the friendships and people that I've met, it's going way beyond properties. You know, I've met people that advised me on. I had shoulder pain.
Yeah.
So I felt the person who helped me get that fixed.
Yeah, I had the same actually. There was a guy at one of the inner circles who was a physio. I got a problem with my shoulder as well, so I asked him about that.
I've met a person who's helped me with like supplements that I take and talk about the diet that I have, on all sorts of levels. The friendships and
it's not just the property thing, is it?
It's just the mindset
it's
and
a
how
personal
open.
development. People and everyone on there is strongly committed to personal development. So, and yeah, property is a vehicle we've decided to grow our wealth, but we're there because we want to develop ourselves, and there's so many opportunities to improve our public speaking, improve networking, and yeah, it's just so great.
As you said, because of the growth mindset, people in academy, it's like whatever way you want to grow, you will find a person to help you with.
Yes.
You know, I end up with the accountability partner that we've got weekly calls and seeing on each other how we can help each other.
Yeah.
You know, it grows in every direction of your life.
You know what it's like? It's like, yes, everyone in the academy is committed to personal development and personal growth. So it's like driving along in the slow lane, and then when you go to an academy event, you go into the fast lane, you know, and then maybe you over the next week or so you kind of slowly, and then you go to another inner circle or a dinner, and you get in the fast lane again, you know.
Absolutely can
That's
relate
what
to
it's
this.
like.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But then, you know, it's because everyone, as you say, is committed to personal growth, but also people that, which I haven't seen anywhere else, to be honest with you. People generally want to see you, how you grow.
Yes, the support.
The support and being open is, I mean, it's hard to describe.
Yeah.
Because I literally never experienced anything.
Because people
like
who don't
that in the
understand
past.
what we're doing, and when you say, oh, I just got another rent-to-rent up and running, they're like, oh, great, okay, yeah, that's interesting, that's what you do. But they don't realise how much of an achievement and how much, you know, whereas you go to an academy meeting and people will stand up and cheer for you when you achieve something, when you know, even a little thing, because little things to some people are big things to other things, and it's so great to do that for other people too.
And also within the academy, people understand that the way you build yourself or your wealth starts from different places. So, you know, you achieving, let's say, passive income of £500 a month, for one person can be the first step of life changing. The other person, you know.
Well, that is to most people, you know, to most people.
You know, but what I wanted to say, for most people, it is a lot, but there is many people, it's like, that wouldn't change anything in my life.
Yeah.
But then even though they're in the level where that wouldn't change anything in their life, they still will be really appreciative and, you know, supporting you that you've made the step, you've made something that's changing your life, and everyone understands that your journey is your journey and you're alone.
There's people on the academy at lots of different levels, but the only time anyone ever looks down on someone else is if they're reaching out their hand to lift
Exactly.
up.
It's like, you know, you can have in one circle people earning literally millions to the ones who are just starting, and the money is never going to be issue in a conversation. That's never going to be a subject to judge anyone, to see where they are. If anything, the rich people are going to help the other ones without anyone feel like they lack of money or they lack of wealth. It's making money is a subject, but amount of money, not really. If you see what I mean, it's like whatever background you come from, whether you poor, middle class, or you very rich, it's irrelevant. It's what you're gonna do after. It's
And I
about
think,
what action
although
you're
we
taking.
do talk about making money a lot, and that's in some way the focus, I think above that, there's an acknowledgement that in order to do that, you need to be valuable. And it's about, like you say, it's much more about just property or just money. It's about personal development and supporting people, supporting community to that end.
And the best thing is at the end of the day, we went there to make money.
Yeah.
And that's one of the goals, or not the main goal, to make money. But the atmosphere and the system and the society that Samuel created around it just go way beyond it. So although the goal is to make money, but the journey to make the money is just very nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah, well, that's a good way to end it. So, and if this is sounding interesting to you and you're interested to find out a little bit more, there's 2 ways that you can find out more about the Academy. If you check the links in the description, there'll be a link to check out some of Samuel's training. I think he's now doing online webinars and things like that as a kind of first step into the training. Or you can go as a guest to one of the local group meetings, which are called the Inner Circles. I run the Oxford one. We're going to go to that tonight. So there's another link there where you can go along to as a guest to an Inner Circle meeting. And you will be very welcome, and you will probably be blown away by the level of support and enthusiasm and success that people are having. And so, yeah, I look forward to meeting you at one of those events. Check out the link in the description.
I would really recommend doing both.
Yeah.
Because one, you can then do from home and see the what Samuel is teaches about, but then going onto Inner Circle, you actually can see everything we talked to Colin about today, how open the community, how people share the knowledge, and what kind of level of support you're gonna get, even just from your peers, for people within the Academy. Really do recommend doing them both.
Yeah. So once again, links are in the description. Okay. Well, thank you, Albert. We better go because we've got one of these Inner Circles to go to. So thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me, Colin.
And thank you for watching. Thanks for sticking with us to the end of this episode of the Self Unemployed Podcast. The fact that you're still here tells me that you are serious about building wealth, finding a higher purpose for your life, and beating the system that's designed to keep you down. Now take the next step towards financial freedom by clicking the link in the description to join our newsletter if you haven't already, and take your first steps to becoming self-unemployed.